Good morning. I've done my best to keep this channel going for those of us who have left Watchtower, to keep our faith as strong as possible, because we've left an organisation, but we have not left our dear Father. Now, you've probably noticed that I only give you what I happen to have been reading during the week. There's no structure to this whatsoever. And the problem with that is that what I've been reading reminds me of what Watchtower is or isn't doing, and today is no exception. So I'm trying to be encouraging, but sometimes it falls on the negative side. But we'll see. And today I was reading Matthew 21. Well, all this week actually. And the context is that this is towards the very end of Jesus' life, and things are getting very tense between Jesus and the scribes and Pharisees. Now, he rides into Jerusalem on a donkey to fulfill the prophecy, as it says in verse 5, "Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey." The crowds were delighted, of course, because they knew what Jesus could do, and this was the best king they could possibly hope for. So Jesus comes into Jerusalem, but he's faced with what's happening in the temple compound. Once again, there are money changers there and people selling pigeons and all sorts, and he is so angry with them that he quotes from Jeremiah, and I'll put the reference below. He says to them, "My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of robbers." So he drives them out, and obviously there's pandemonium everywhere. People trying to pick up coins and animals and birds all over the place. So calm descends eventually when they've all been got out of the temple. And the blind and the lame come to Jesus, and he heals them. And once again, the crowd is delighted, and the children cry out, "Hosanna to the Son of David." Now, if only the scribes and Pharisees had recognised that Jesus was the Messiah, and they had helped the people to stick to Jesus Christ and his teachings, all would have been well. But of course they didn't. And it says that they got indignant. What was wrong with them? They weren't the slightest bit happy that the blind and the lame were being healed. And the reason being is that they believed that if you were blind or lame, it was because you were a really bad sinner and you ought to stay blind and lame. They didn't understand the scriptures at all. Now, the other thing they were indignant about was that Jesus had taken it upon himself to clear the temple out. And so they said to him, "On whose authority are you doing these things?" Well, it was obvious that Jesus' authority was from his Father, from God, from his miracles, from his teachings. But they didn't want to believe that, and they wanted the authority for themselves. Now, the priests, the chief priests as well, had the authority to say what was going on in the temple, and they knew that the money changers shouldn't have been there, but of course they were making money out of the people coming and buying and selling in the temple, because if you did that you'd have to pay rent or a tax of some sort. So they justified themselves allowing these money changers in the temple, although knowing that they shouldn't be there. So they didn't quarrel with what Jesus did, but they said, "What authority do you have for doing this?" Because they wanted the authority to say what could and couldn't be done. Now, the scribes and Pharisees had no authority at all. You'll remember that the Apostle Paul was a Pharisee, been brought up as a Pharisee, and he was of the tribe of Benjamin, which had no authority in the temple whatsoever. Only the tribe of Levi had that authority, but they still had to use it in the proper way. So how do I apply this to Watchtower? Watchtower, you cannot tell people what they should be giving to you each month. That's not for you to do. You don't have any authority over these people to say that. And once again, you are robbing people of their kingdom halls that they've put money into. Not only that, but a lot of work, a lot of voluntary work. And you've stolen it from them for your grandiose ideas. Now, a lot of people like Bible videos. It's lovely to see them enacted out, and that's grand, if you stick to the scriptures and don't put your own thoughts into it. But you already have very good video facilities, Watchtower. You don't need a Hollywood-style, grandiose video centre. It's going to cost you millions, and that's from money that you've stolen. You have made the Word of God a den of robbers. So, Jesus was so upset with the scribes and Pharisees of his day that he gave 3 parables to help them understand that although the Jews had been chosen, were God's special people and were supposed to be with Jesus in the kingdom, that they had rejected God's way of doing things and had rejected his own Son, and so they were not worthy of the calling of God's kingdom. I'll try and look at this next week, all being well, but I'll just mention what Jesus said at the end of this discourse, that many are called and few are chosen. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and God bless.